Hi everyone and welcome back. Okay, so in this video I'll show you how to fix that problem of the lead slipping back inside the pencil, and I'll also show you how to fix the problem of any lead blockages where the lead's not actually coming out. Okay, now these are two very common problems. They don't happen regularly, but they will happen eventually. Now first of all, what you'll need are 3 items of kit to sort these problems out. You'll need a small paintbrush, a little watercolour brush or something like that, a small pair of tweezers. They're optional actually, I just tend to use those for picking up the leads off of the desk because I've got no long fingernails or anything and it's kind of hard to pick them up, so you might not need that, but I find a small pair of tweezers really useful. You'll also need a very small pin. This is the pin from my Pentel P203, which is a 0.3mm lead. It's an old pencil, you can tell by the green eraser. The old kind of vintage Pentels had this green eraser in it, and they often came with a very small pin stuck in the bottom there, and what that's for is to push into the lead sleeve on your pencil there to unblock it. So if you haven't got one of these, and the chances are you might not actually have one because some manufacturers put these in their pencils, but most don't, particularly the modern pencils. For some reason manufacturers don't tend to put these in anymore, which is a shame because when you need one, you really need one. You know, you're halfway through a drawing and your lead blocks in the lead sleeve and you've got no way of unblocking it. So if you've not got any of these in a mechanical pencil, I've heard some people actually use a bristle from a hairbrush or something like that. Or you might even have a little piece of wire or something in your shed or garage. Obviously you've got to make sure that it's sort of at least 0.3mm thick or even 0.25mm thick, something like that. So it's got to be nice and thin. Now I've got 3 mechanical pencils there, which I think are probably the most common mechanical pencils used today, and that's the Pentel P200, the Graph Gear 1000, Pentel Graph Gear 1000, and the Rotring 600. Now the reason I've got these 3 is because they're all 3 very slightly different mechanisms, and I'll show you the Pentel P200 first. So if you're suffering with lead slipping back into the pencil there, you know, you've kind of clicked your lead out and you put some pressure on the paper and the lead just kind of pushes straight back into the pencil or into the lead sleeve there. It's one of 2 things. So the easy way to check is first of all unscrew the cone section there, and you'll see the lead sticking out there. And what you can do actually at this point is click the pencil in. Oops, I've snapped the lead there. I was going to say push the lead back like that, so you don't do what I've just done and snap it off. Okay, now the most common problem is, and this is one that kind of fixes itself actually, the most common problem is that you've reached the end of the lead and you've only got a very small piece of lead left sticking out. And what happens is when the cone is actually on there and you're clicking, it will push the lead out of the lead sleeve, because if you look what happens, look, when I click that, you can see the clutch mechanism pushes forward. So even if the lead is no longer being gripped by the clutch, it'll still get pushed forward and get pushed through the lead sleeve and give you the impression that it's being gripped by the clutch, but as soon as you put any pressure on it, it's just slipping back in. And all it is your lead is now too short, and basically all you need to do is just unscrew the cone, take the lead out and replace it with a new piece of lead. But in most cases the lead should just kind of drop out when it's just maybe ½ centimetre long or something like that. They usually just drop out and that kind of just fixes the problem. Now if that doesn't fix anything and you've got a full piece of lead in there and you're still having the same problem, when you put the lead down on the paper and put any pressure on it, it's still pushing back into the clutch. What's happening is the clutch is staying open and not gripping the lead. Now there's several reasons why that clutch might stay open. It's either damaged or you've got some grit or little particles actually stuck in the clutch mechanism. I don't know if you can see that. It's very, very small. I don't even know if my camera will focus, but there's a little clutch in there that has 3 jaws on it, 3 little jaws, and they open and close to grip and release the lead. I hope the camera's kind of focusing and picking that up. Now what can happen is, and this has happened to me on a number of occasions, and I've always fixed the problem, and in nearly 40 years of drawing I've never actually had to throw a mechanical pencil away because it's broken in any way at all. It's an easy fix to do. Now all you need to do is push that out so that the jaws are open like that, and what's happened is somewhere down the line you've managed to get a little bit of grit or maybe some paper dust, from when you're drawing, has worked its way into there, and it's got in between the jaws of the clutch. So basically, if you imagine my fingers there are the jaws of the clutch and that's the lead of the pencil, okay, it's kind of gripping the lead there. What's happened is you've probably got a little bit of grit in the joint of one of the jaws, or both of the joints or something of the jaws, and it's holding the jaws open, and they're not shutting tight around the lead. So what you need to do, it's probably best if you get a magnifying glass actually. You'll actually be able to see if there's any bits or any crud built up in there. What you need to do is just get a brush, push the clutch out so that the jaws are open there, get a brush, and try and get the hairs to go through the joints there in the clutch, and that should knock out any little bits of grit or any paper dust or anything that's kind of clogged up in there and keeping the jaws open. And then that should, in most cases, fix the problem. Now, if you are still getting the same problem, there is a good chance that you might, by mistake this is, you might have put the wrong diameter of lead in there. You might have put a 0.3mm lead in a 0.5mm mechanical pencil. I know it's obvious, but just check just to make sure. So put a fresh piece of lead in there and just test that as well. So now you've covered all bases. Everything should be working properly. If it's still not working, then I would say you've probably sprained one of the jaws on the clutch, or you've got a faulty mechanism. But what should happen now is this should be as good as new. All you need to do is just screw the cone section back on there. Click the pencil a few times. And there we go, the lead comes out. And if I push on that, it's not slipping back at all. So that's fixed that. Now, like I said, the other common problem is actually lead blockages. What can happen is sometimes the lead can snap and actually get stuck in that little lead sleeve there. Now if that happens, all you need to do is just simply get that lead pin and push it through several times, and you'll unblock any lead or any crud that's built up in there. Just give it a little tap like that and you'll see little bits of lead or the little piece of lead fall out, and that should be unblocked. So you shouldn't get any lead blockages now at all. And before you screw the cone section back on, it's always best to open the clutch and let the lead drop back in so you don't break it or anything. And then just tighten that back up and you're good to go. Okay, so that's a nice, simple, easy fix there. Okay, now for the Graph Gear 1000, what you'll need to do for that is first of all take off the end cap like that, and then unscrew the cone section like that. That piece there should just slide off, and then you'll need to unscrew that take that off, take the spring out, just release the pocket clip like that and then pull that out, It gets a bit technical, I know, but this is the best way to do it. And you'll notice this section here is, like I say, is completely different to the Pentel P200. What you need to do there is take this sleeve off here, just kind of unscrew that and just gently pull that off like that, and that'll expose the clutch mechanism there. Now you'll notice, I don't know if you can actually see that, but when I click the clutch out, the jaws aren't opening and the lead is still being firmly gripped by the clutch there. What it is a little sleeve, oh, broke the lead again. What it is a little sleeve there, look, can you see that? It's a little sleeve that covers over the clutch, the jaws of the clutch mechanism there. So what you need to do is just make sure that's pulled back like that, and then you can repeat that process with the brush and just clean out the clutch like that. And then when you release your thumb just there, the sleeve should slip nicely back over onto the clutch like that. And then it's just working in reverse then. We're just putting everything back. You know, in the order that we took it to bits. So hopefully that should have fixed any problems with any lead slippage that you're having there. Like I say, it is a common problem. It doesn't happen all the time, but you know, if you've used mechanical pencils for any length of time, I'm sure you've encountered that and thought maybe it's something wrong with the pencil. I'll just line that up with the 2B and I'll just hold that grip section there in place, and then I'll put the cone back on like that. Not too tight, just enough just to hold it. Put the end cap back on and then click it a few times. And there we go, the lead should start to come through, and I can just gently push on that and it won't slip back in at all. So again, that one's fixed there. Now the rotor in 600 is not really that much different to the Pentel, but you've not got to completely dismantle this. All you need to do is just take that section off there, just unscrew that off like that. Take the back end off if you want to, like that. And you'll notice as well, look, if I could bring that close to the camera again, you'll notice that there's a little sleeve around the clutch. Now when I drop that sleeve back, you'll notice that the clutch will open and the lead will drop back in to the pencil. And if I release that again, the sleeve will sit over the clutch. So again, just clean that with the brush, get out any bits and pieces that might have stuck in there and holding that jaw apart, and that's it. You should be good to go. Okay, and just screw that back on like that, and your pencil should be all in new condition and working perfectly again. So 9 times out of 10, it's just a simple case of that clutch getting clogged up or blocked up with something and the jaw's not closing properly, hence not gripping your leads, and that's why they're slipping back into the pencil there. But don't go throwing your mechanical pencils away. Even if you have got a damaged clutch or something like that and it is pretty much useless, it won't work anymore, you still want to hang on to it, because if you get yourself a new mechanical pencil and you accidentally drop it on a hard surface, you can easily bend that lead sleeve there, and obviously once that gets bent you're not going to be able to click any lead through. But if you've kept your old pencil, you can just kind of swap the parts on them a little bit, you know. So don't throw your pencils away, hang on to them for spares, and like I say, in most cases, 9 out of 10 cases, they are completely repairable. Okay, so that's how you fix your mechanical pencils. I hope that's been helpful to you. Take care everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.